Republican presidential candidate Nikki Haley was absolutely bodied by a 9-year-old.
Chris Christie thinks that you're a flip-flopper on the Donald Trump issue. And honestly, I agree with him. And you're basically the new John Kerry on the... If you remember John Kerry from 2004. So my question is, how can you change your opinion like that in just 8 years? And will you pardon Donald Trump?
Look, you gotta love the look on her face where she's like really trying to hold that smile and like, listen here, you little shit. Now, look, I love the question because it's a fair question, it's a good question, and the comparison to John Kerry. Funny enough, this kid's 9 years old. If you remember John Kerry in 2004, kid, you weren't even born yet. Nonetheless, great comparison. And obviously, this kid's a lot smarter than anybody expected. Okay. Very well spoken. Look, so funny enough, right? That actually got me looking into, because I do remember John Kerry, because I was alive in 2004. And I remember some of the ads, which were pretty hilarious. In fact, I want to show you one of them.
There's nothing wrong with making a decision and then changing your mind. But if you never commit to what you believe in, who will ever commit to you? John Kerry has changed his mind on all these important issues. Now, there's nothing wrong with a little indecision, as long as your job doesn't involve any responsibility. John Kerry has changed his mind time and time again. If you thought you could trust him, you might want to change your mind too. ClubForGrowth.net is responsible for the content of this ad.
90s ads were something else, man. It was from a simpler time, when stuff like this actually mattered. Nowadays, really doesn't. Republicans recently elected a guy who contradicts himself pretty much all the time. Let me give you some example of quotes here from former President Donald Trump. The issue of trust. From Trump surviving at the top, 1990, says, I surround myself with good people, and then I give myself the luxury of trusting them. 2007, in his Think Big, he says, my motto is hire the best people and don't trust them. Wait a minute. Trump, How to Get Rich in 2004 says, surround yourself with people you can trust. In Playboy, March 1990, said, people are too trusting. I'm a very untrusting guy. Trump, in 2007, said, expect the best from people. Complete contradictions. How about on surrounding himself with smart people and being smart himself? Well, in July of 2015, he said, I'm like a really smart person. In March of 2016, he said, all I know is what's on the internet. In Las Vegas, in February 23rd of 2016, said, I love the poorly educated. In 2004, in his book, How to Get Rich, said, fortunately, I don't pride myself on being a know-it-all. In the Washington Post interview on November 15th, 1984, said it would take an hour and a half to learn everything there is to learn about missiles. I think I know most of it anyway. Again, this is just a couple of contradicting quotes from Trump, but you get the idea, right? There's so many more, and they're all hilarious and ridiculous. But again, this is supposed to be about Nikki Haley. Now, Nikki Haley also has flip-flopped quite a bit on Trump. For example, the policy of the border wall back in 2016, wasn't a fan. She was actually more pro-immigration, considering how family of immigrants, right? But she came around to it. She then criticized Trump for January 6th, then turned around, licked his boots. Here's what she said before. We need to acknowledge that he let us down. He went down a path he shouldn't have, and we shouldn't have followed him. And we shouldn't have listened to him, and we can't ever let that happen again. That was after, again, January 6th, right? In October of 2021, she says, of Trump, he has the ability to get strong people elected. He has the ability to move the ball, and I hope that he continues to do that. We need him in the Republican Party. I don't want us to go back to the days before Trump. She also said she wouldn't run against Trump. Now she's running against Trump, of course. Big flip-flopper, right? Now, she answered the kid's question and basically said, oh, well, politics is all about distraction. I'm just telling you the truth the way that I see it. For Trump, I agree with him, but, we just can't handle the chaos anymore. Oh, so you agree with all of his policies, positions. You just think that he's too chaotic. Okay. She then went on to lie, saying that she's never flip-flopped on Trump and that if she becomes president, she would pardon him. So answering that question. But then again, who knows what her position is? Because she's changed it very often. Look, by the way, her entire life is about flip-flopping. This is a woman who's changed her name to be palatable in Republican politics. Okay? Her real name's not Nikki. Just saying. She's also someone who said the Civil War was, quote, basically how the government was going to run and freedoms and what people could and couldn't do. That's what she said about the Civil War. Well, you got to ask then, which freedoms, Nikki? Which freedoms, right? Tell us which one. She refused to mention that it was about slavery or, ensuring that some people have the freedom to literally own, buy and sell other human beings and use them for unpaid labor. Yeah. By Thursday morning, after she got a bunch of backlash, she was like, oh, well, of course this Civil War was about slavery. Of course it was. Now that I got called out for it. Nikki Haley is a weatherman. All she wants is power. And look, that said, that's what most people running for president want. The vast majority, they want power. Yes. Another thing is that Nikki Haley is so incredibly inauthentic. Okay? Authenticity is something that I think is fairly important, right? I mean, even Donald Trump has an air of authenticity that he actually does believe a lot of what he says. Or will do some of the things that he says. Even though he contradicts himself all the time, people tend to believe it because I think at the moment he does believe the things that he says. Even though later on he changes his mind. At the same time, Nikki Haley doesn't believe anything that she says. She just says, well, what path is going to lead me to power? What's gonna bring me closer here? And she does it so badly, so ham-handedly, that people just see it. They see right through her. They see her as nothing more than a bland, empty pantsuit. That's it. I mean, again, her inauthenticity is the most obvious thing about her. And unfortunately, I think the most memorable thing about Nikki Haley is how she got bodied by a 9-year-old.